Hey everyone, your local expert Josh here with another interesting interview with author, ship hunter, Ross Richardson. Ross, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Hey, you bet, Josh. What a pleasure.
Thank you. Ross, it's so interesting, the shipwrecks you've looked for in diving, the articles you've written for those shipwrecks, and kind of the local history that we have going on with the aspects of our community. How did you get into this? What is some of your back history?
Well, ever since I was a child, I've had a fascination with shipwrecks. I'm not sure why, but I've always just been interested in that. And later in life, I found out that there were so many missing ships in the Great Lakes that this was really shipwreck central. There's no other place like it in the world. And the fresh water preserves these shipwrecks better than any place in the world. So if you like shipwrecks, Michigan is the state for you.
That is awesome. So when you're going out and hunting for these shipwrecks, doing your research, where do you start with that? Where do you look for, when you're doing your research?
A lot of research. You look for vessels that there's a lot of information about, locations, last known position, LKP we call it, sightings. Then you do a lot of research using books, old newspapers from historical societies or libraries, microfilm, a lot of digging around, put together as much information as you can, and then you go out on a boat with a sonar, and we call it mowing the lawn. You go back and forth and try to find these old shipwrecks from the 1800s.
That's kind of like that, kind of like treasure hunting, when you're looking for stuff like that. That is really awesome. Explain that feeling that you've had when you're out there mowing in the water and you find something. I mean, you guys jump in right there, or do you come back?
No, it's a lot of people think it's a high five moment, or it's like, and there is some excitement to it, but it's always, okay, what's the next step? If you find a shipwreck site, you want to do the history right. You want to present it in a way, at least that's my goal is. So we want to record the wreck site with underwater photography and underwater video, and then share it with the public, make it public and share the story, and also share it in a way that's interesting. I think a lot of times people share history in a very dry way. Sometimes academics can be very dry, and we want to add a little bit of that Indiana Jones to it. Nice. To make it exciting for your average person too. So I think it's a way of taking history and making it come alive.
I think that's definitely really important, especially speaking to different generations and stuff like that. You could, some people might like the factual aspect of it, someone might like the exploration aspect of it. I like the history myself, so to hear about some of the stories you've done is really interesting to me. Can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration growing up and getting into the diving aspect of it? When did you start doing that? I mean, you have the shipwrecks. When did you start acting on the actual diving?
About 20 years ago. Okay. Is when I got my C card, they call it, and did the scuba diving training. And of course, shipwrecks, the love of shipwrecks came first, and then diving is a way to get down to the shipwrecks. So there was a lot of training and a lot of experience involved there, and over the years got into technical diving, decompression diving, and things like that, more of the technical aspects. And now as the technology improves, the shipwrecks we find are much deeper, so we're starting to use remote operated vehicles, ROVs, to go down, basically robots, to go down and film the wrecks, which is safer. Diving has improved over the last 20 years, just like everything, just like technology in cars, phones, everything's improved. But the ROV technology has now become affordable to your average person, and that's a safer way to go down and explore these wrecks, because you are limited by time when you dive to how much time you can actually spend exploring shipwrecks.
For sure, I can imagine. Yeah, and that's something, that's to be said. You have a passion and you actually learn something that is potentially dangerous, diving, and just being able to do that, go down that deep, is a lot that goes into it. I have some family that has some experience diving. I've never done it myself, but it's pretty amazing. Thank you for your time, Ross. Really appreciate it. Thank you everybody that's watching. Now, for more information, because Ross has went over much more than the stories we went over today. We're going to have links under this video that will go to the website, his website, giving a lot of the stories that you've done, books that he's written that you can purchase there. Also links back to a lot of the other articles and stuff that you've written too. So can't say thank you enough for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you everybody that's watching.